Hi guys, I hope you had a good weekend, but let's get started. Alright, so today we are talking about action and linking verbs. This should be a review for you, so let's get started and review some of these terms. You guys know that a verb is a word that tells me what my subject is doing, so what someone or something is doing. And then there are many different types of verbs. So, when we think of verbs, the most popular verb I think we think of are action verbs. Those verbs that tell me or show in action. They maybe eat or jump or run or kick. I can see my subject doing those verbs. I can hear them doing those verbs, or I can watch them do those things. However, one of the other verbs that we have are called linking verbs. Now, linking verbs have a really cool job. I guess cool is a relative term, but whatever. Linking verbs have a cool job in that they connect the subject to a noun or an adjective after the linking verb. So everything that describes the subject after the linking verb is either a predicate adjective or a predicate nominative. Alright, let's look at some examples. James is beautiful. Sorry, not James. Jamie is beautiful. Alright, so Jamie is my subject. It's alright, and then when I look at everything after the verb, my verb is beautiful. Beautiful is an adjective, and when we have a linking verb, we actually call it a predicate adjective. And if I look, beautiful is describing Jamie. So, my linking verb connected the subject to a description after the predicate. If I look at James eats breakfast, this is an action. I can see him eating his breakfast. However, if I try to connect James to breakfast, James eats breakfast, James is not breakfast. Breakfast is also not describing James. So, an action verb has a different relationship with the subject and verb. It's not connecting them like a linking verb connects this description of Jamie. Another example would be Jamie is my sister. So I've got Jamie, my subject, my verb, and then sister is a noun, a predicate nominative that describes Jamie. I learn about who Jamie is based on this description that comes after my linking verb. So, with linking verbs, you learn a little bit more about your subject. It's just describing your subject a little more. Alright, so some of the most common linking verbs are going to be am, is, are, was, and were. Those are the easiest and most common linking verbs, but there are definitely more. Alright, so if you look at these example sentences, roses grow on bushes in the garden. They have soft petals. Alright, so roses grow. I can see them growing on bushes in the garden. They have soft petals. Alright, so have is when someone possesses or owns something. And so soft petals here is being used as a direct object. They have what? Soft petals. Alright. each rose is a different color. So I've got my subject, rose. My linking verb is a different color. Color is being used as a predicate nominative here to describe the rose. So each rose is a different color. They're all unique. So this description is describing the rose. All right. So let's look at some examples. It says, write the verb in each sentence. So in this box, if you're using the computer, you can type it right in the box here. And if you have printed this off and you are writing, you can write it either in the box or you can just circle the verb, whatever makes it easiest for you. All right, so we see many wildflowers on our trips. The easiest thing to do, get rid of those prepositional phrases. We see many wildflowers. We is my subject. See is the verb. Now I have to write my verb here. Now, if you want to practice and take it a step further, I would say, tell me what kind of verb it is. We see many wildflowers. See, that's an action. I'm using my eyes to see. So it is an action verb. However, if I look at 3, my favorites are blue bonnets. So favorite subject are my verb is are. That one is a linking verb. So super easy. Let's go to the next page, where it gets just a little more in depth. All right, so we have talked about what action verbs are and what linking verbs are. So, it gives you some more in-depth examples of what linking verbs could be. So again, we have am, is, are, was, were, become, seem, appear, feel, taste, smells, and look can all be linking verbs. So now, this gets a little tricky because sometimes those look like actions as well. But I'm going to teach you a really easy trick to figure out whether you have a linking verb or an action verb. So, if I have the sentence, Judy seems sad today. And Judy looks at the flowers. All right. So they just told you that seems and looks could be linking verbs. But remember, with a linking verb, my subject is connected to an adjective or a noun after the predicate. So, because of that, I can take am, is, are, was, or were, those simple linking verbs, and if I can substitute one of those into my sentence for the verb, and it makes sense, then I know I have a linking verb. So this comes in handy when you're kind of confused and you're like, I can't really tell if there's an action being performed here or if it's connecting my subject to a noun or an adjective after the verb. This will help you figure that out. So first I'm going to look. I've got my subject. I've got my verb. Judy looks sad. I know that sad is an adjective, but I just want to check to see that sad is truly what describes Judy and not anything else. So if I take Judy is sad today, That 100% makes sense. If you came up to me and said, Judy is sad today, I'd be like, oh man, that stinks for Judy. Poor girl. So it makes sense. So this is a linking verb. However, let's look at the bottom. Judy looks at the flowers. So I've got my subject, I've got my verb. I can cross at the flowers off. So that should be my first clue. I have nothing left in my predicate to describe Judy. So that should be my first clue to tell me that it is an action verb. But let's say that I forget that rule. So I'm going to say Judy is. Judy is. And then that, since we crossed that off, I'm left with Judy is. If you came to me and said Judy is, I'd be like, what? Judy is what? That doesn't make sense. So with this one, I know I have an action verb. All right, so let's look at some of these examples they give you. Girls place bonnets on their heads. So I can cross off on their heads. Girls place bonnets. Let's see if I can replace this. Well, first of all, let's look. Girls and bonnets. Do bonnets describe girls? No. They wear them, but they don't describe the girls. So that's my first clue to tell me it's an action verb. Next, I can envision someone placing these bonnets. Bonnets are like little head coverings or kind of like hats that you tie in your head. I can imagine someone putting that on the girls' heads. So that's another clue that tells me it's an action verb. But if I'm still confused, I can replace it with are. Girls are bonnets. That doesn't make sense. Girls cannot be bonnets. So that tells me this is an action verb. She walks down the path. Again, I can cross off down the path. She walks. There's nothing left in my predicate, so I know it can't be a linking verb because there's nothing to describe she. Also, I can imagine a girl walking. So that tells me that this is an action verb. They seem awkward in their bonnets. I can cross off in their bonnets. They seem awkward. Awkward is an adjective. Also, awkward is describing who. Who seems awkward? They. So I see that my subject is connected to an adjective after my verb. So those are good indicators that I have a linking verb. However, if I'm still confused, I can substitute are. They are awkward. That 100% makes sense. So I have a linking verb. The boy is happy. Here's another adjective. Who is happy? The boy is happy. So again, my subject is connected to my adjective after the verb. I have is there, so that is a linking verb. All right, now let's talk about predicate nominatives. This is an easy trick. Nominative is a big word that no one ever remembers. Scratch it out, and you can write noun. Predicate noun. A predicate nominative is just a noun that follows the predicate, your verb, and describes the subject. So like in my sentence where I said, Jamie is my sister. Jamie is my subject. Is my verb. Jamie is what? My sister. This is a thing, a sister, a person. So this is a noun. An easy trick so you can figure out what your predicate nominative is. If you can take everything after your linking verb and flip it around. So if I could say, My sister is Jamie. That still makes sense. That's a good indicator that you have a predicate nominative. Because my sister is now your subject and Jamie is now the noun. And they are interchangeable. That's the cool thing about predicate nominatives. You can take everything after the verb and switch them, and it still makes sense. So, is a noun or a pronoun that follows a linking verb and identifies or explains the subject. So here, the mattresses, your subject, were straw-filled bags. So bags is your noun. What were straw-filled bags? The mattresses are straw-filled bags. This bed is mine. Bed is your subject. Is your linking verb. Mine is a pronoun. So, what is mine? The bed is mine. Alright. So right here, you are going to look at the underlined word. If the underlined word is a linking verb, you are going to write an L. If the underlined word is an action verb, you're going to write an A. If the underlined word is a predicate nominative, you are going to write PN. Alright, so I'm going to give you 3 examples here so that I don't do all of them for you. So we'll do A, B, and C. The dog is beautiful. Becky is my best friend. I ate 10 hot dogs. Alright, so if I look at my example, the first one, the dog is beautiful. I've got my subject, the dog. I've got an adjective describing the dog. So that tells me this is a linking verb. So if I went over, I would write I have a habit of writing linking verb. You can just write L. Alright. Becky is my best friend. So I know that friend is not a verb. So I know it's not a linking verb or an action verb. Let's look. Friend is a noun. It's a person, place, or thing. So friend. And I know that is a linking verb. So that means, who's my friend? Becky, my subject. So that means, on the line, I would write P-N. And finally, I ate 10 hot dogs. 8, I can see the subject doing that. It's something they are doing, so it is an action verb. And hot dogs does not describe the subject, unless the subject is a carnivorous hot dog on a weird planet where hot dogs can eat other hot dogs. It's probably not, though. So that is exactly what you're doing. So I'll do number 1 with you. Let's take a look. Charles is a blacksmith. A blacksmith is someone who, makes metal objects, back in the old days, they would have, their anvil and they'd be hammering, swords and stuff and making metal objects. So Charles is my subject. Let's back up. So that tells me blacksmith is a job, which is a noun. But let's just double check. Charles is, that's my verb. That's a linking verb. And blacksmith describes what Charles does or who Charles is. So I know that is a PN. So that is all you're doing. Super simple. If you need help, just email me or text me on Remind. All right, good luck, guys. Bye.